Hey, new old fans, welcome to today's video. My name is Schlayer, and today we're going to go over the spear and something I feel like a lot of people are slept on a bit. Spear seems very good to me in both PVE and PvP. I used it in the open beta and it felt pretty good. I didn't actually use it in the closed beta a lot. I leaned more towards it in the open beta and I think it might be something I'm going to main. So I wanted to go through the whole tree system, figure out the best perks and attributes to those perks, and we're just going to go through that. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so we're on the website worldforge.gg. I'll leave a link down in the description below if you want to go check this site out. It's really cool. So this build here is what I'm planning on doing with the spear. I'm most likely be pairing it with the bow. And I'm going to be going kind of a mixed route a little bit for a little bit into zoner, but mostly in impaler because I want this to be more of a DPS style weapon. But starting off with the zoner, the first perk I wanted to use was sweep. Sweep targets legs, dealing 75 weapon damage and knocking them down. And going into this further, you're able to get grit, making it uninterruptible, which is super helpful, especially in PvP situations. And then the coup de grace. You're able to press light attack during the sweep to follow up with a powerful downward stab that deals 125 weapon damage. So you're pretty much able just to knock the person down and then instantly stab them. And then you could potentially just go straight into perforate or skewer, depending on what is not on cooldown or what you prefer using. Going into these next two here, as we just saw, there's Perforate and then Skewer. Perforate deals 3 quick piercing strikes that deal 70% weapon damage and apply rend, which is super important. It reduces the target's damage absorption by 5% for 10 seconds, which is huge. And then rend increases to 10% per strike against targets above 50% health, so that's pretty cool. You definitely want to attack something above 50% health, or like maybe go into it into a boss at 100%. And finally, you're able to get impactful strikes, which target is staggered if you successfully land all 3 hits of perforate, which is another good thing. You can go in with a sweep, get in another 125% attack, or you go straight into perforate after that, and then you're able to get him staggered as well, and then you're able to go straight into skewer. And so it's just like, it's a really good comboing effect, and I think that's what you're really wanting to go for, especially in a PvP situation. Going into skewer, you're able to rush forward and skewer your target, dealing 125% weapon damage, and it applies a bleed, which is 10% of the weapon damage for every 1 second for 10 whole seconds. And so the next perk is a deadly ambush with 20% damage against targets that have full health. Follow through gains in power on critical hits, increasing damage by 20% for 10 seconds. And then deep wound just increases the duration to 15 seconds. It'll still apply the 10% weapon damage for every second. So you're going to outright get 150% damage overall. So those are the 3 perks I'm going to be using overall, or something you may be going for along the lines. And then now you get into the passives to get the extra little bits. And then you get the big ultimate passive, which you'll need 10 points in a specific tree. So that's why you see at least 10 in Impaler for here. Just to start off with that one, it's Exploited Weakness. It grants 10% extra damage per debuff on the target, up to 30% max. So you need at least 3 debuffs, and then you'll get the 30% max extra damage, which is pretty cool. So starting off in the zoner passives, we're going to be getting Deadly Consistency. It's 10% damage on consecutive heavy attacks against a single target. I use heavy attack a lot. It's really good to use, especially when you're just running up to just a random mob, and you always want to most likely just heavy attack every time, so it's pretty easy. And then successful heavy attacks reduce all spear cooldowns by 15% with refreshing reach. So that's always nice. And then Merciless Strength, which is 25% damage against knockdown targets. So that pairs exactly into sweep. There was a lot of other ones here that are pretty good, but they didn't really go with the plan that I really wanted to go with. So I just decided, hey, let's go and put most of these into Impaler, which will start off with Refreshing Jabs. Is all spear cooldowns are reduced by 10% on the second hit of a light attack chain. You're always using light attacks, so that's always good. Finishing Blows is 15% damage against targets with less than 30 health. So that's really nice as well, especially on big mob bosses. You're getting extra 15% damage over a pretty decent a long time. So you're able to poke away at a little more easier at some big bosses. Unnearing Precision is 20% damage against targets with active grit. So that's not in the case of you getting like grit right here on your weapon. It's active grit on the target. It's still really good to get that 20% extra damage though, because there's other people that can apply grit, I believe, in other weapons. I'm not 100% on that. Next would be aggressive maneuvers. The first successful hit with an ability within 2 seconds of dodging reduces all spear cooldowns by 20%. So that's really big. You always want to be on the move. This build, I'm going to most likely be using just like a jump dodge, not just the roll one. So jump dodge is actually almost better in this case because you only have 2 seconds of dodging to get that cooldown. So you only want to be going so far and then you're able to get the attack. You don't want to be rolling a huge distance away and then the 2 seconds is up by the time you get to them. You could technically go and roll into them. If you're in a high stress situation, you just want to get out, then that would also be a pretty good case of just being able to jump around with medium armor. And lastly, we have exacerbating and crits. Hopefully I pronounced that right, but critical hits extend the duration of the spear debuffs by 20%, so that's pretty nice. The debuffs, we're going to only have like 2, I believe. We'll have Rend and we'll have Bleed. All right, with that said, that's the overview of the spear. What did you think of this build and what are you considering doing? Please leave comments down below on any feedback that you want to give because, again, I'm just kind of spitballing this and having a lot of fun just trying to figure out some good builds here. If you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. We're going to have a lot of New World videos coming out and definitely give some ideas on some videos you want to be seeing going into launch. We're just going to try to keep making content here. Have a good one and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.